What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Crash Bang Boom Drumming Podcast. And how are y'all making out? Today's guest is drummer Esben Willems of Swedish psych stoner doom power trio Monolord. Esben and I got into our mutual fascination with Sepultura, recording records without click tracks and minimal punch-ins to keep it live as possible, Motown records, Swedish support for artists, and a whole lot more, so check it out. Super nice guy, and we got to geek out about his stainless steel kit, which was awesome. New Monolord record, No Comfort, is out everywhere, so get up on it. And with all this record talk, I got to give a shout out to my sponsor, New Orleans Record Press. If you're looking to put out vinyl for your project, go on over to NewOrleansRecordPress.com to check out the many coloring, packaging, mastering options. You can add it all up in the real-time quote generator. Need assistance with design or packaging? They can help you, and they print both 12 and 7-inch records in both 150 and 180-gram variants, and they print small runs of 100 and larger runs up into the thousands. And that's NewOrleansRecordPress.com. Crash Bang Boom Podcast can be found on iTunes Podcast, my SoundCloud and YouTube pages, Stitcher, Luminary, Google Play, Podbean, and more. Basically everywhere other than Spotify. If you like what you hear, feel free to check out any of the previous 160-plus episodes and give me a like, a subscription, a positive rating, and or a glowing review, and or all the above. The support is appreciated. I'll keep trying to crank them out. So without further ado, here we go. Esben Willems, Monolord, Crash Bang Boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
Esben Willems of the one and only Monolord from Sweden. What's happening, dude? How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, you doing good?
I'm tired as you are on tour, but otherwise I'm great.
You're doing pretty good?
Yeah, I am. Good to be back in New York.
Absolutely.
2 days.
You like this place?
I do.
Yeah?
Absolutely. It's the 4th show at St. Vitus tonight, I think.
So when y'all come through, you've consistently played here.
Almost, yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
And then
Absolutely.
you sold out tonight, and then playing again tomorrow night. Second show added.
That's right.
Congrats on the new record, No Comfort. It sounds awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
That is a wall of sound that y'all work with. So I'll have to pick your brain about some of the tech aspects of recreating that in another country and using what I'm assuming is rented gear, right?
It's not actually. We rented on the first tour here. This is our 5th tour, I think. But we already on the second tour we bought because renting is so expensive. So
really?
Yeah.
So you just bought some gear and you have like gear in the
Yeah,
States?
our manager lives in Hermosa Beach, which is LA, California.
Right.
And so we just stored it there. I mean, we get what we want, and it's cheaper. I mean, after
Right.
two tours, it's...
You're like, fuck it, we might as well buy it.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
amazing.
So we're buying it bit by bit. I bring the cymbals and the snare.
Right.
That's it.
Well, man, I was listening to y'all sound check, and you're playing a vintage Ludwig stainless steel kit.
That's right.
That thing sounds
right.
badass, dude.
It does. I want to take it home.
I bet you do. That's hilarious. You're like, I kind of like my touring stateside drum set.
I
man.
do.
I'm gonna have to
I
swap
love
'em.
it. I love it. I want to bring it back home. They sold a kit like that in Stockholm, in Sweden, like a month ago. I was like, fuck, I don't have the money, but I want to buy this kit. So
Really?
bad. So bad.
It's killer for the style of music y'all play. That's kind of the quintessential kit. I feel
It
like.
is. It is. I didn't know it was, but it is.
Yeah, now you know, right?
Now I know. Yeah. I want that kit back home. Fuck it.
Oh man, that is so good. Yeah, I was listening to you play before the mics were ever on, and whenever anyone plays those stainless steel kits, just the acoustic presence that they have.
Yes.
It's like the both in volume, but as you were saying, the tone is there too.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of wouldn't even think that it would sound like that, but it does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised me at first
Right?
because I bought it and I read about it a little bit and I didn't know what it would sound like. It's like, okay, it's a Ludwig. Gotta
Right.
be good, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know if the characteristics of it would fit the style of playing or the style of the band sound and all that. And then I put the heads on I like to use, and the first show, like, fuck, this is...
Are you playing 2-ply batter heads, or what are you playing?
Have the Evans hydraulic red.
Oh,
on the
wow.
toms.
Okay, so
Yeah.
those are real dense. That has oil in between them. So
yeah,
it's like
exactly. And they're kind of dead in,
Right.
in the way I like it, actually.
Exactly.
I think it's... They suit my style perfectly.
I hear you, especially with older kits like that.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they're-
yeah.
When the bearing edges maybe aren't the most perfect, you get a little bit
Oh,
of that
they're not.
dampening. Yeah, you're like, they're
It's
definitely...
almost circular. Almost.
Right, right.
No, it was crazy. I remember that first sound check with that kid. He was like, "Are you kidding me right now? This is like goosebumps." It was amazing.
How did you get that kit? What's the story with that kit?
Our manager found it on like, I don't know, Craigslist or something.
No way. It was a Craigslist find in L.A.?
No, not LA. Somewhere in California, I don't remember.
Okay.
So I met the guy up, and the guy was a fan apparently.
No
So
way.
it was all good.
That's sick.
Yeah. So yeah, and I don't want to change.
Right.
I want to change the hardware on. The legs on the kick and all
Right.
that. That's kind of flimsy.
Of course.
But the
they
sound
are.
of it, it's just
Sick.
It's spot on.
It's
It's
badass.
exactly what I like.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
And y'all have a very specific sound, as I was saying, not only on the drums, but of course just the big, huge, sludgy sound that y'all
Yeah.
have. That's very specific as well. So the other guys, the guitar and bass, they bought their equipment as well, so they have a whole orange rig set up
Yeah,
here as
more
well.
or less. Yeah, we have double stacks back home, 2 basses, 2 guitars. Here we only have 1 bass stack.
And y'all are still loud as shit.
Oh well, it's orange. It's crazy.
Fuck yeah. Once again, it's like that when I think about that style of music, like orange amps and that sound,
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like another quintessential kind of sound that complements this whole thing, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So somewhere between the giant wall of orange amps and this killer stainless steel kit, you got everything's coming together, man.
Thanks a lot, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Well, once again, congrats on the new record. Tell me a
you.
little bit about recording that. And I was looking back at y'all's discography, and y'all have been pretty busy in putting out a record. It looked like every year almost. So is this the 6th or 7th full length?
4th.
Oh, 4th. Okay,
yeah,
so there was some
we
EPs in
made
there.
an EP-ish kind of release, a lot of suffering in between those.
Okay.
But it's the 4th full length.
Gotcha.
3 on Riding Easy, and our contract with them was 3. And
Gotcha.
And we agreed on. We really like working with Daniel Hall, which is Mr. Riding Easy, but we both felt like we might have outgrown the label a little bit. So we went on to Relapse, which is great.
Right.
And continued with him as our manager instead.
Cool.
So it's all good. Win-win.
Everything worked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
But the recording process was kind of... we've always recorded everything ourselves.
Oh,
in
interesting.
Yeah.
And in your practice space?
Yeah, which is like super small.
So you got big sounds in a little room.
Yes.
That
And
is
it's
interesting.
it's a challenge, to say the least.
Absolutely.
And no oxygen and all that.
Right.
But again, you have no time limits, which is a great thing.
Exactly.
Going into the studio and the clock is ticking.
It sucks.
Costs a
I
lot of
literally
money.
was just talking about that experience and
it's-
how
it's
bad it
crazy.
can suck sometimes.
Puts a damper on the creative process. I think
Does.
like, please deliver now.
Yeah.
I'm pressing the button. Okay, I'm gonna be inspired now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's kind of brain fuck.
Yeah.
But we decided on this one just to try something that was new for us, and new for us is very traditional. We went into a traditional studio with a guy we know who was also a co-producer. And that was more or less it. But it was kind of hard being used to the other way
Right.
of working, and the 3 of us we're coming from 3 very different places when it comes to almost everything.
Like geographically, influentially, like
Influentially, as people, as everything.
Everything.
And this band is kind of where our circles overlap. That's kind of the
interesting.
essence of Monolord.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge in itself,
Uh-huh.
which we kind of found our little sphere there that we like.
Yeah.
And then inviting another human into that's kind of okay. What
Right.
happens now? It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It was challenging, but it was fun.
Did you record in a pretty good-sized room? Did you have a nice room to record the drums in?
It was newly built. It was not even finished actually, the
Wow.
studio. But he just built it, and he gave us a good deal on it.
Great.
And we felt like he's a good guy. He's a great sound tech.
Yeah.
And the room sounded great.
Sick.
So we did live takes with the drums in there, and then the bass and the guitar outside. But
Yeah.
all of us being able to see each other at least.
Which
so,
is nice.
So, the ground takes were.
It's amazing, man, like those old Motown records, and all the players would be in one room with
Yeah.
baffles and just playing super dynamic music, and the shit sounds incredible.
It blows my mind. Like 50 years later, it's like
Right? Like,
seeing
how the
documentaries about that.
fuck? It's crazy, right?
And here we sit with Pro Tools,
Right, exactly.
correcting everything.
Yeah, man, those motherfuckers were just playing.
Which we never do, by the way. We
Really?
never correct. It's like no click tracks. No, just we play it like it sounds. We use Pro Tools because it's easy, but
Right.
it's no quantizing or pitch correcting or none of that.
Yeah, good for
So
you.
Keep the mistakes, right?
Right. I mean,
Makes us more alive.
I think, especially in today's age with this, overly quantized, overly produced, really like metal that can happen.
Yeah.
it
sick
just
of it, man.
sucks the life out of it.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I'm glad to hear people getting back to being like, fuck it, I'm keeping whatever it is that's on this.
I
But
think a lot of people are for that exact reason.
I
It's
certainly
like,
am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of this sounds perfect, but
Right.
it's so fucking boring. So
Right. Yeah.
My mind wanders like within one song.
yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
It's kind of unfair to the music and to the band.
Yeah, both in feel, because you hear it and it's so perfect. You know, and
Yeah.
there are some guys out there that can play like that, and they've dedicated their lives to really like being super proficient players.
But still, when you listen to those drummers, for example,
Yeah.
I feel that this is like a human machine, but still it's human. There is some kind of human element in there.
But sometimes on those records, no.
No, exactly. Do you know the Sepultura's new drummer, Eloy
Yes,
Casagrande?
that guy's a fucking savage.
He's a savage. He's insane. And that's kind of close to technically perfect.
Right.
But I love his drumming still.
Well, he's bombastic as a motherfucker, though.
He is.
He's also built like a brick house.
He is. He is.
Yeah. Dude is not skipping gym day.
No, he's not.
Jesus.
I am, though. Fuck.
Oh, my God. Did Monolord play some shows with Sepultura, so you got to see him live? Or
No.
Okay.
We haven't had the fortune yet, at least.
Yeah. Yeah,
Would
that
be
would be an
nice.
interesting pairing.
Oh, yeah.
A little Doom and some OG, metal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember when Sepultura Arise came out in 1991, and
Yeah.
there are so many other records that came out the year. I talk about that year constantly because it's
Yeah.
the year that I got my first drum set.
Oh, nice.
And it was the year that grunge broke. So, and then like there's like kind of outlier metal shit that was happening. Like hip hop was happening, early 90s hip hop. There's so many killer records. I could talk to you hours,
Yeah.
like just about that. But Sepultura's
a good
Arise
era.
came out that year,
Yeah.
and I remember at the time hearing it and just thinking like I had never heard something so heavy.
No.
Like prior to that, it was so intense.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were from another country and like
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
the whole
exactly.
mystique about the whole thing and
Yeah.
and just savage. So yeah, I'm a fan of Sepultura, and I need to go see them with that kid playing drums because he's a
Yeah,
monster.
I'd like that too. Absolutely. Chaos AD for me.
Chaos
When
AD's your
when
jam?
when that came out, I was like, fucking hell. Is this for real? I was just run over. It's like a steam train. I love it.
Absolutely. It's that shit is intense. There's some amazing footage of them playing in Mexico City, probably off of the album prior to Arise,
Yeah.
Beneath the Remains or whatever. And they're in like a high school gymnasium or something.
Yeah.
But there's just giant circle pit and kids are headbanging like a motherfucker. And you watch it and you're like, bro, this is so intense.
Amazing.
Like it's just amazing to see the chaos that ensued. And in Mexico,
Yeah.
it's I'm a fan of that band for sure.
So am I.
But yeah, to go back to kind of what we were talking about, I do appreciate, at least in the live form, you can see that a drummer like him has the physicality. He plays his ass off, but I think there's some feel, and it's human. It's not so replaced from where we get it in the recorded form, where it's become so detached from humans
My
playing
thoughts
it
exactly, yeah,
that
I
it's
agree.
like And
Yeah.
once again, like here we are talking about Motown records, and we're like, listen to how amazing that shit sounds.
Yeah.
And that is the antithesis of it, to where it all sounds fake. To the
Exactly.
extent it's like, why even have a drummer?
Exactly.
Like just
Exactly my thought.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I like it once again that a band like yours is like, nah, man, we're no clicks. First of all, which is ballsy, because for those that may not understand, we're talking about click tracks. One of the advantages of tracking stuff that way is that you can do 2 takes and they're going to line up. So
Yeah.
when you throw that out the window, then you're like, all right, we're trying to get this all in one take. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Like, punching in becomes harder. Everything becomes harder.
It does.
So in one sense, you're not making it easier for yourself. You know?
No, we're not, but we get where we want to be at the end. We have actually used click tracks on one song on the new album because it's based kind of a synth that's really
Right.
supposed to be like rigid.
Exactly.
So that's the reason why.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason. If that
Yeah.
weren't there, we wouldn't have done it. Otherwise, with every other song, we don't do it because it's keeping it alive, keeping in the mistakes.
Yeah, part of the Doom thing as well, and I think of what y'all do, and so many bands kind of within this subgenre, world, or whatever,
Yeah.
is that there is a sort of elasticity to it, and if you want to
a good word, yes.
slow things down a little bit and accentuate it, or
Yeah.
a particular hit and drag it out, there's
Yes.
a kind of a breath in it that I think you have to have that, and I think if you did that with click tracks, you lose that.
Totally agree. Absolutely. Gotta let it breathe.
Right.
Like Sabbath style, right? Like
Exactly.
keeping the flow, keeping the waves
Absolutely.
through the song.
Oh man, and Bill Ward is such an underrated guy.
Oh shit, I love
Oh
him.
my god,
I love him.
There's live footage of them, around the like first couple of records or so,
Yeah.
and it's just like, you want to talk about a guy that had bombast but also swung
Yes.
and played all that, man. His playing is beautiful with that Black
Like a
Sabbath
metal
shit.
jazz drummer.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Love
I'm a
it.
fan of all those guys. Like, I love Ian Pace from Deep Purple.
Yeah.
And I love, Cozy Powell, who played in Rainbow.
Yeah.
I love all of those dudes who I think almost all Ludwig guys as well. I love Mitch Mitchell. I love those jazz guys that played with some rock fury. That's always been kind of my jam.
Absolutely.
So I've interviewed a few guys from Sweden, and one I've noticed if there's ever a consistency with the Swedish people that I talk to, all of y'all are tall, and I'm tall. But I'm like, man, the consistently tall Vikings. I think there's a bunch of fucking Vikings in this country, man. It's impressive. And also, I like talking because in the States, artists are so undervalued. And like, when schools cut programs, they cut music, they cut all this because it's just, we've got a bunch of fucking idiots that don't understand the creative process and how important it is, even if you don't pursue that in life, how it can lead to other things. And it's just important to just have these outlets,
Yeah.
And like places like Canada and Sweden, and I hear the way that it's kind of supported, even at like an institutional level, where you get grants and things can happen like that. Like, it's really, Sweden seems like an interesting place. I need to go there sometime.
Yeah, it is. The grant thing seems to be perceived as kind of bigger than it is.
Oh yeah,
It's not that big. I mean, we've never gotten one.
Okay.
Ever.
Interesting.
And we haven't applied for one even because it's a big.
That's a whole.
It's a big process.
You're just
to
like,
do
we're not
that.
even gonna deal
Yeah,
with it.
we need to put that time into something else. But if
Right.
it's so there are grants, yes. But it's not like it's a standard to have grants to go on tour or release albums. Some do it, some don't.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, it's really easy to get practice space in Sweden.
Yeah.
It's subsidized, so it's really cheap.
That's amazing.
And it's easy to get, and it's usually safe.
Right.
And all that. Then again, when you start touring, you can't tour in Sweden because the cultural policies in Sweden just kill the cultural life, more or less. So it's the live scene in Sweden is surprisingly dead
Oh wow.
compared to how many bands come from Sweden.
Oh, I have
mean,
so
there's a
many
lot of
so many
touring
bands that I love from Sweden.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
Most of them, when they come to a certain level, don't tour Sweden at all.
Wow.
I mean, we don't tour Sweden. We
Really?
do a few shows every now and then, but there's no base for touring at all.
Right.
I mean, we have 3 bigger cities, which compared to the U.S. is kind of villages.
Right.
It's small.
Yeah.
Not that many people.
Yeah.
But there's kind of 3 cities you can play in.
Yeah.
That's a weekend.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
So most of us just go south of Denmark, which means Germany, France, the continent of Europe, more or
Yeah,
less. And
right.
the live scene is still thriving.
Yeah.
It's not thriving in Sweden at all.
That
or in
is
Scandinavia,
interesting.
actually. Both Sweden, Norway, Finland, it's really... it's there, but I don't know why. Something happened. So it's really hard to get people to come to shows. So I know many U.S. bands that go there, they skip Scandinavia, but for that reason.
Wow.
It's a far drive. You got to get across ferries and some bridges that cost a lot of money and all that to
Yeah.
get to Sweden. And then you have 2 shows and 50 people show up. So next tour you say, fuck it. I'm not doing Sweden, which I get. So it's a kind of a downward spiral,
Right.
of course.
Yeah, I mean, from like Meshuggah to the Hives to the Refused.
Exactly.
This band that I love, Godmother, that's from there.
Look
You
at
gotta
their
check them
tour
out. Like,
schedule. There are
yeah.
not many Swedish dates in there. Probably none.
that is a really weird aspect of it all.
It is. But making the music and
Yeah.
rehearsing and all that,
That's
there you can get a lot of help. I mean, we
Right.
have a great practice space. It's small, like I told you, but
Yeah.
it's super nice.
Yeah.
And it costs next to nothing. And
That's
that's kind of a
amazing.
luxury.
Yeah. Do y'all have it all to yourselves?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it is.
Oh, I'm in a space with like 4 or 5 bands right now.
Yeah,
You know?
that is the thing in Sweden as well. But you can usually get away with getting something for yourself.
That's
like
amazing.
like we do. So it's great.
And do y'all live close to the practice space to where y'all
I
can
do.
go?
I live in Gothenburg. The space is in Gothenburg. Thomas has lived like 1 hour outside of town, and Mika half an hour outside of. But
Really?
it's close-ish.
Yeah.
Close
yeah.
enough.
Right on.
Yeah.
Are there any Swedish drummers or just bands in particular that you're a fan of? That I know there's tons of
I
them.
mean, I always go blank when I'm thinking of names. I mean, the band we toured with that opened for us on the last tour, Fire Breather, I fucking love them. It's so great.
I gotta check them out.
Yeah, do that. It's a powerhouse.
Really?
It's relentless. I hope they come here.
Okay.
I really do.
Fire Breather.
Fire Breather, yeah.
Are they similar to what y'all do? Or?
Not really, and that was kind of why we wanted to tour with them. They're friends of ours, also.
Which, by the way, I'm a fan of bands mixing it up and not just having like a night of doom, for instance.
Exactly, it's completely uninteresting.
Totally.
So they're more. It's still metal, but it's more like towards the High on Fire style of metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know him or not as a guy that I interviewed, Chris Maggio. He's now playing drums with High on Fire, and he's a savage.
Then I saw him in Dallas, I think. We opened for them there like a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Was that him?
That's correct.
Fucking hell.
That
he
dude
played so good. That was amazing.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah.
He grew up literally in Jersey, so like he took lessons from Joe Morello from the Dave Brubeck band, like,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
studied hand technique with like genius dudes.
Shit.
And he's this guy that plays this pummeling style of music. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of him, and if you check out his playing on the Trap Them record, Darker Handcraft,
I will.
it is,
Trap Them.
Yeah,
I will,
Trap
absolutely.
Them.
Remind me after this.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's like you won't believe it. And he does double bass stuff, but he does with his right hand between his floor tom and his bass drum.
Oh, nice.
It sounds like double bass shit,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
get it.
not. He's
That's
just
nice.
a total
I love
savage.
that.
Yeah,
I love that.
he even shaved off like part of his index finger, and he still plays like that. He's a bad
Shit.
dude. Yeah. Oh my
That's hardcore.
Yeah, right?
That is hardcore.
Yeah, man. Well, tell me a little bit about coming to the States. You said that y'all have done this before. How many times have y'all been to the States, counting this tour then, I guess?
This would be the fifth.
The fifth.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Is there any particular state or city that you feel like y'all are especially well received and it goes over really well?
I feel it's always hard to compare. Everything has its charm, to be honest. I don't think
Yeah.
that's this city is the best city in the world. I
Uh-huh.
mean, you can't compare you can't compare Austin with New York. That's impossible.
Totally different worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm from
And
the
it's-
South, so I get it.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
living here for
It's-
14 years, so.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Have you been to New Orleans by any chance?
We just played there.
Did you?
Yeah, One Eye Jacks.
Oh, One Eye Jacks rules.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
What a
in the-
venue.
In the heart of the French Quarter.
Yeah. That was great. First time there.
Really?
Not first time in New Orleans, but first time at the venue.
Right.
That was, yeah.
New Orleans is an
Gotta go by
incredibly
there.
unique city.
It is.
Yeah, you
It
get to
is.
drink in the streets and just the architecture and just the vibe of the place.
Yeah.
One of the greatest references that I've heard about people saying is that they say that it's the northernmost Caribbean city, and it is kind of like
I can see that.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
hot. It's like swampy, but everything moves real slow.
Yeah.
And so like me growing up down there, I've always walked fast, talked fast. I'm fucking impatient. Every
Yeah.
time I go back, I get crazy road rage. I'm like, people are pulling out in front of you, and they got nowhere to go. It's just, I grew up down there, and I always go back, and it's always home to me. But man, it is slow moving down there, dude. You got to dial all the notches back. Just to
Yeah, I mean,
acclimate.
I can see why. We played there like 3 years ago, I think,
Okay.
and it was during the summer.
Oh.
And it was a place called Siberia.
Absolutely, yeah, in St. Claude.
That was so hot. That was stupid hot. It was
brutal.
like the dripping down the walls, and was sold out. So it's like,
Oh,
it was so
man.
fun. It was great. It was
Right.
so great. It's a fun memory.
Right.
But it was so hot.
You
I
were
was like,
sweating your balls
fucking hell,
off.
this is yeah.
Did you bring a fan or no?
I don't remember.
I travel. If I play shows, I bring my fan with me.
We have one tiny one.
Oh yeah, no, I bring a big like industrial loud ass fan.
Yeah,
No,
we gotta do that.
y'all are loud enough.
Exactly. Exactly.
I also have to ask you about the drum set that you have in Sweden, because we talked about this one, but I actually don't know what drum set you play, or drum sets rather, I guess.
I only have one.
You have one?
I don't have the money
You're
to
a
get
minimalist.
one. Yeah, it's budget minimalist. Yes.
I have 3.
Oh, there you go. Good for you.
Yeah, 4 technically, but
Nice.
Yeah, 2 in New York, 2 back home. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have the 2. I have the 1 here, and then back home I have a Gretsch kit.
Oh, you have a Gretsch.
I bought the Catalina Club Rock when they came out.
Oh,
the,
wow.
The budget kit.
Yeah, totally.
And it sounds great, I think. I still
Really?
use it. The 26 and then 13, 16, 18, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 26, 13, 16, 18. Sounds right.
And I like it, but sometimes I feel it's a little bit too boomy for what we do.
Interesting.
That's why I like this kit.
Right.
It's 24.
Right.
Kick,
I'm a
which
fan
is-
of 24s.
Yeah, it's great. It's still a big kick, but it's got a little more punch to it, a little more directness.
Uh-huh.
Which I lack in the 26. I've always liked drums that kind of fight me a little bit.
Uh-huh.
That's not too easy to play. I don't know why.
Really?
But it's I like when it's I have to struggle a little bit.
Interesting.
And I have to struggle with that kit because it's a big ass kit, and
Right.
you gotta work it to make it sound good.
Right.
But yeah, I think I'm going for this kind of kit back home.
Yeah, I
as
hear ya.
well when I get the money.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping that kit, of course, because
Of course.
it sounds good for other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What led you to playing the drums?
I don't know. I remember playing. I mean, I've always been drumming
Beating
on
on
stuff.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
And I have pictures of myself when I was 5, like sitting with whatever you can hit with, playing on the cushions in the sofa.
Yeah.
And it just went on from there. So
Wow.
when I got the opportunity to start playing in elementary school in Sweden, which you can do,
Yeah.
I chose drums, of course.
Really?
I mean, like hitting on stuff. Yeah, I want to play rock.
Wow. So how old were you in elementary school then when you started playing, I guess?
9.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you started young, relatively young.
Yeah.
But once again, that goes back to the importance of giving you that option in school to where you could develop that and learn this stuff, and that and here you are, I'm sitting here
Absolute-
talking to you on a drumming podcast.
Yeah,
and this,
exactly.
it all ties back to you having those options at school.
Yeah,
which is important.
It makes all the difference. It's
Yeah.
super important. I mean, it's important for everything. Culture is.
Agreed.
Look at history.
Right.
Culture, man.
Right.
It's makes all the difference in the society.
Totally. What was your first drum set?
I'm assuming it was like a no-name brand. I remember my parents bought it when I was like, I must have been 13.
Okay.
I think 13, 14, and they bought
Set
this
up
kit.
in the house.
Yeah, in the house. Sounded like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I remember that I was really into AC/DC, and
Oh, yeah.
Who Made Who came out.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the backside of it, Simon Wright sat there with his white kit.
Right.
And I had to have it white, so I repainted that kit.
No
white.
shit. Oh, that's amazing.
That's what I remember, but I don't remember the sizes or the brand or anything. I just
Yeah.
remember the feeling of, fuck, I have my own drum kit. This
Yeah.
is, I've been playing drums for 9 to 13, that's ages in that age.
Yeah.
So getting my own drum kit was huge. It was
Right.
a big thing.
Oh my God, man! What were you listening to at the time that you feel like you were other than maybe some AC/DC?
Well,
In those
it
early
was a
years.
lot of AC/DC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell if anyone occasionally someone will ask me about a drum lesson or something, and I'm like, well, we're going straight to AC/DC. Like, if
Yeah.
you want to play rock music, then that's as simple and also impactful and amazing. Like the Phil Rudd
It
stuff.
is. I
It's
love
crazy
Phil Rudd.
how
I still do.
Somehow the simplicity of what everyone playing collectively just made for this amazing thing in AC/DC.
Yeah.
You think you can do it, and like I feel like I can play it in theory.
Yeah.
But I also have to have like everyone else there with the chemistry that they had, and I mean, there's just something special about that band.
That's the thing. It's not that easy.
It's
It's
not.
actually super hard. I mean,
It's weird to
Everyone
really, like,
can play
replicate it.
AC/DC cover, but it doesn't sound like it. You
Right.
don't get the groove.
And I'm especially a fan of the Bon Scott era. To
Great
me,
stuff.
that is the most rock and roll shit ever.
Yeah, it is.
That's like Coke, booze, rock and roll. Late night rock and roll. Let's go fuck some shit up,
Exactly.
I love it. It's
It's
so
great.
good. It is really, and just the energy, man. You'd see that band on stage back then, and you're like, who had more energy than them? Nobody.
Exactly.
Nobody
Exactly.
was going on after
It's
that
still
band.
inspiring to watch to this day. I mean, those clips,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
Is Axl Rose still going to be doing vocals with him going forward? Do you know?
I hope not. I'm sorry, but I hope not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that might be a thing. I don't know. It's
Maybe.
crazy.
Let's see. What's
Yeah,
happening.
hearing loss is a bitch, man. How are your ears? Are you hearing good?
They're all right.
Yeah?
A little damaged on the right ear, but they're all right.
Do you wear earplugs when you play?
I didn't up until I was 25, I think, and then I have a dishwashing job.
Uh-huh.
And one night I went to sleep. It was like, ooh, and it didn't go away at all. It's like, this sucks. I gotta take care of myself.
Really?
But up until then, I didn't use earplugs at all,
No shit.
which was so stupid.
Yeah.
But ever since I have,
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, I have
You'll
to.
play with, especially with this band. It's not like, I mean, you'll play with some volume.
we do, and my previous bands as well. It's been,
Really?
I mean, I'm a hard hitter
Yeah.
myself, and
Yeah.
it's been loud bands. But I absolutely use earplugs all the time. I have to.
Going back to you to that first kit and you starting to play the drums and whatnot, what were some of your first bands all about? Like, what was the influences of the style that you were doing?
And I grew up in the middle of nowhere. It was
Really?
really, really difficult to find anyone to play anything with. So
Really?
it was kind of, I was lucky enough to find a guy that played guitar, and he was kind of into '80s metal stuff like Dio and stuff like that, which I really wasn't, but close enough.
Yeah, you were like, at least we can play.
We didn't have a proper band. We just jammed.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the next big city as soon as I could. I think it was 17 or 18. And then I met some people and started bands. And the first band actually sounded a little bit like Monolord.
Oh,
in the style of... That was kind of the Sisters of Mercy era. It was kind of the same thing, but more gritty and more sludgy.
Okay.
So there were some connections to this one. Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely, yeah.
It all comes full circle.
A little bit.
Yeah, I joke every now and again about my first band and like the demo tapes that I have of that. Man, I listen to it, I'm just like, this is so fucking embarrassing.
It is. It is. I will feel the same. It's like, fuck, well, but it's part of the journey, right?
Oh man, I mean, it makes me appreciate where I'm at now that much more, I suppose.
Exactly.
Not totally sucking in my parents, one of my parents' bedrooms,
Exactly.
Then listening to my shitty bands that we think is totally awesome. Oh man, what a crazy experience. When you think about the sort of heavy like style of music that y'all play, any particular bands that you feel like are kind of your favorites that do that? You can always say it goes back to Black Sabbath, of course.
Yeah.
Everything heavy pretty much goes back to, so it goes without saying. And Doom certainly does, but there are really some Melvin songs in particular where I'm like, man, I kind of think that this had a major impact on what kind of modern Doom is.
You might be right. I mean, I got into Melvins late. I don't know why. I love the band. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why I got into them so late. So they haven't been that big of an impact on me.
Right.
Like way back. But
yeah,
great band. So I see what you mean.
They will do super slow.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't believe how
huge,
slow.
Big ass. Yeah.
So like that conceptually is that's part of the Doom thing as well.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree. But I think for us as a band, it goes back to the same thing I mentioned before. We come from 3 different places and we have influences from all over the place.
Yeah.
It's not like we came from, we only listen to Black Sabbath and St. Vitus and whatnot.
yeah, exactly.
We listen to a lot of stuff and the influences come from all these places into what we feel this band is, more or less. And this started out as a side project to a previous band Thomas and I had.
Oh, okay.
And we always, when we jammed in that band, we always jammed in this style of music, more or less.
So you're like, let's actually do this.
Yeah, exactly. Let's try this out. And then, boom. We released an album, fucking hell, and let's tour. And just went on. It's crazy.
Really?
But our only intention with that band from the beginning was, let's make this as heavy as possible. We didn't have any genre label on it. Like, we want to play Doom.
Right.
It's mostly other people that puts that label on us. Doom, sludge, stoner, whatever, and it's fine.
Right. You're like, whatever.
Call it whatever. Dark jazz.
Yeah. Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of. That's still kind of how we think about this band. We have a feeling what we feel the band sound is, and everything we do, we try to create within that feeling. But that connects to where our influences come from. We don't only get influenced by metal stuff to make a metal album.
Right.
I actually think that's kind of boring when you do that.
Sure.
It's much more interesting if you listen to... I mean, I love Tina Riven. I've been listening to them a lot lately. And that influenced my style of playing in some minute way, but it still influences me.
Right.
More than listening to some generic default Doom drummer, if that makes sense.
Sure. What other plans do y'all have, I guess, going into 2020? I mean, this new record just came out, so... Yeah,
we're doing this tour and then 2 shows in Germany, and then we take half a year off, actually.
Really?
I've been touring so much.
Really?
Yeah. Just to recharge and,
Like I said, y'all were putting out an album every year for a stretch there, and then obviously touring on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you balance your life outside of touring, and what do you do when
well,
you're
with
not touring?
half a year off.
Really? Did you just take it off and just hang out?
No, I mean, it's hard to balance. It really is.
Yeah.
It is hard. We make it work, but we all have relationships and families back home, of course.
Yeah.
And we need to find the balance in that because we don't want to jeopardize any of that, and we don't want to jeopardize the band. So it's really,
of course,
it's an ongoing process with making that work. And this half year off is part of that process. We need to just take it easy back home and recharge.
Are y'all going to be writing in that process, or are y'all just kind of just going to take a break?
We're going to take a break, and if stuff happens, it happens. And just taking a break and not having any plans is the plan.
Right.
Because it's kind of
Sounds
sometimes the
fantastic.
need to just breathe a little bit and then back at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's not a bad thing. It's great. It's great to have reached the level where we have the luxury to do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then we start touring again next summer with
Nice.
festivals and yeah.
So at this point, you've gotten it to where I guess it's financially feasible for y'all to just only do Monolord, and that's, I mean,
No.
you able to do that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's like day jobs when we get back home. It's,
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it
Gotcha.
is. But it's getting there. Absolutely. We have devoted fans, man. It's
Something that I talk a lot about. I mean, it's you have to have dedication, obviously, within the band members as well to have maintain flexibility in your day jobs, so you can afford to do this shit.
yes.
And maintain your relationships, and
Yeah.
maintain your relationships with the band and the whole thing. It's a juggling act.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, but
And
hell,
it-
what else are you gonna do, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Can't stop drumming.
Well, shit, man, it was good talking to you. Break a
Super.
stick tonight and tomorrow night, and for the rest of the tour.
Will do.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Crash Bang Boom podcast, and thanks to Esben for both taking the time to rap with me, and to St. Vitus for always having killer shows. Monolord definitely was a wall of sound up in that place. Rattling shit. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay tuned. Crash Bang Boom.